This is our regular scheduled meeting, July 19th.
June
at
19th.
June 19th, excuse me. I'm a month
It's
ahead.
going not too fast as it is.
At 6 o'clock, and we'll do our call to order. That's our call to order, pledge allegiance. You wanna do it, Logan?
Yes, sir. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Logan, are you here?
Yeah, Logan Johnson.
Beverly Fickus. And Beaver.
Scott McVeigh.
Terry Lincoln.
All right, Paul Kelly, General Manager. Our new admin assistant hasn't started yet, so it's just me tonight. My apologies for my eye. I had a little battle with what I thought was oak dust that got irritated, but I think it was a bug. So, it's getting better, but man. Life every day seems kind of challenging.
Boy.
Otherwise, we have
One time, anybody,
Firewires,
Sandy, come on, speak.
Sandy Winters, we're gonna have a Firewise meeting, 27th of this month, Thursday, 6 o'clock. We have a speaker coming from Shasta College, she's the head of the horticultural department, she's gonna speak on fire resistant plants and, fire hardening your landscaping. She's pretty knowledgeable, I've been to one of her workshops and she had a pretty good presentation, a lot of good information. We're not gonna have a Firewise meeting for July or August, there's too many people gone, and, our attendance has dwindled, so, this will be our last one until September.
You said that would be on the 27th?
Yeah, the 27th, 6 o'clock at the community hall.
Sandy, can you speak about the grant at all that they're trying to work with the foundation?
Yeah, Dennis, has, got the community foundation is letting us use their title and their facilities to apply for this one grant, is $25,000. And, if we can get it, we're gonna have, with the property owner's permission, we're gonna make a big fuel break at the end of Strawberry Lane, Andrea Way, New Riders Way, and Sean Drive. It's really needed. I've ridden in that pasture out there for 40 years. And
You used to come check the fences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under the east end of New Riders, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible out there.
Oh, it's a real fire hazard. We're hoping this is gonna work out. Even if we don't have any, final news by the time of our meeting, we'll let everybody know one way or another if we are successful. And CalPAR will be doing the work.
So my understanding is Tina Bartle that is doing the grant for this, or it's gonna be writing it, which is Dave Bartle's wife. And she's done several other grants, so
Yeah.
she might be a grant writer for us, I don't know.
Yeah, Dennis contacted her to do the actual grant writing. He has applied for several through the Shasta County Fire Safe Council, but, the state just ignores us. We're not getting any success at all with the state. So, hopefully this is gonna work out, cause it sure is. We were just lucky during the canyon fire that it didn't get in that pasture. And I can't believe how it zigzagged across the country. If you go to the fire hall, you'll see a big, huge map of where that fire went. And, it, did a lot of damage.
Yep.
It did. 25 years ago. Didn't seem possible.
you have something for us?
I do have something for you. My name is Susan Anderson. I am in possession of the records for the Happy Valley Farm Trail. I was given them by Johanna, in 2021. My intent was to try and regenerate interest in it, which was unsuccessful. And I called Scott, seeing his flyer for the market, and asked for some input, and he suggested, and I believe that it's a very valid suggestion, that I return the records. I did not realize when I took the records from her that it was so intricately tied to the water district. I was unaware of that until I started going through things and seeing how involved it was. I'm not a farmer, I'm a gardener, I'm a crafter. My agricultural experience is summer breaks in a dairy farm. So I have gathered together what documents she gave me and would like to return them to the district for archiving or future use in trying to revitalize it.
Okay. Who, are you gonna take possession of them?
No, the district will do that.
I think I got volunteered.
Now,
Yeah, looks like there's a lot of good information in there.
There may be,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I tried to reach out to previous members and did not, I received one response, and it was someone who had actually moved out of the district.
Oh.
So it was kind of like, well, okay, and then life happens. I have a child with grandkids who have returned home, and it kind of got put on the back burner with media accessibility the way it is today. I thought, a lot of people are doing their own advertising, putting things out on social media, and just thought that it probably might have been a moot point at that time, especially with going through COVID and everything else, people's lives being really busy, that this probably is going to be a better place for it.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
and a question, I understand you hold the rights to the domain name.
I do. I have.
So if that's something that the board wants to possibly take on.
It is valid, I believe, for another year and a half. She had originally, when it was originally formed, she had filed the appropriate paperwork with the state. She was required, or the trail was required to renew it, which didn't occur. And so there's probably maybe 10, 11 years that it hadn't existed so far as the state was concerned.
Right.
And it's, I'm sure, something that could be redone if the desire is there. But yeah, I do own the rights to the domain name. It's good until September of next year. So if that's, I can leave you with my information. You already have my information, so, because I'm a customer. If that's something you guys would be interested in, I'd be happy to sign over.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, the consent agenda.
Yeah, so, through the chair, we have, minutes for the regular meeting of May 15th, special meeting of, June 5th, Finance Committee of, May 22nd, Ag Committee of, May 29th. Also, I just would mention, you have a longer list of paid bills, and you also have 2 activity reports, April and May. You might recall our bookkeeper accountant was out on medical for our May meeting, and so there were some things that we didn't get on there. Also, I received a note from Director Fickus that we have a couple of just cleanup items, not too big, and also Melissa, our bookkeeper, had suggested something that was missed in one of them. First of all, the minutes for May 15th, under old business, there's a mention of the area manager. That was a carryover from the previous month, so that was just a mistake, and we'll just put in there that this was a holdover on the agenda. There's also under C, there was a mistypo there. Director Fickus asked about cost, so that was something that was fixed. I've got it in my in my document on my computer for this. On June 5th, under old business B, the second paragraph, there was a the instead of they. Also, in a couple of the minutes, our wonderful video volunteer, Caitlin, there's probably about 3 different spellings of her name, so we'll fix that. A lot of this is because we haven't had anybody else doing this, so I've been doing the minutes, but confirmed both from Director Fix and from Caitlin, so we'll get that fixed. Also on the June 5th meeting, Melissa reminded me that at the top, right before the board's action, that there were other items in their proposal. One which was to move all of the credit cards from Plumas, or from our current place, and actually they're not even with our current bank, to all get them all under Plumas. So that's just noted in the updated minutes, that the action authorizes the district to set up the Plumas credit cards. And on the minutes for May 29th, again, Caitlin's name was messed up. And then, but that's been fixed.
Also, I just saw on June 5th, and I didn't catch it, you got her name wrong also on number 4.
Yes.
Okay, you caught that one?
Yes, I did.
I missed it.
No, I found it. Yes. And then, I think that was it. So my suggestion is, when you approve the consent calendar, the minutes as amended. And then, unless there are specific questions, I would just point out a couple things on the transaction detail report. There's a couple of large bills for Badger meters. We did get some reimbursement from the county. I think we got it for about, so far we're up to about $100,000 in reimbursements from them. And so one of the things we've been doing is we've been approving the invoices from the meter company, and then submitting those to the county, then waiting 30 days to process them for payment so that we get reimbursed quicker. So far it's working. And I also just wanted to mention that even though we've had a lot of turnover and have lost 5 people to other jobs over the last couple of months, our interim part-time distribution supervisor, Tony, has gone. One of his tasks when he came here, he's gone through all of the invoices, he's gone through all of the meter registers that we've received, got them all inventory, so they're all gonna be ready to actually get installed. For some reason, there was not, there was a $53,000 item for PACE. Because it was multiple, I guess it's one of our little glitches in QuickBooks, but under memo, because that $53,000 was for 2 or 3 invoices, they were all for the grant project, but it comes up as blank. So same thing for me, just to be clear, that's a reimbursement for, it was for 2 things. One, it was the Aqua JPIA, and the second was for, I actually wrote a personal check to get rid of the machines, the folding machine. The North Valley Business Center required that they get a $200 check handed to them before they would pack them up and pull them out of here. And, Melissa was on medical, and I said, "You're not leaving without these things." Unless there's other questions, I just wanted to bring up those couple of items.
Anybody have questions? Go for it.
noticed in these two of the activities, both April and the May one. In the April, I noticed we had 11,000 plus check for our auditors. How's the progress on getting that audit? It seems rather delayed.
It's significantly delayed, and we've definitely been in a interesting situation, especially because this FY22 audit has a lot to do with the transition to QuickBooks, and that's when we didn't have a bookkeeper, so it's been painful. Last week, I had the interview from the auditor for the manager's interview.
Right.
The audits usually do a manager's interview. So, we're expecting it in weeks. Now, they promised us that once they get this one done, they'll also be able, that will resolve all of those transition issues, so hopefully FY23 will be quick.
Very good.
But
yes,
aren't they also, didn't they also, Paul, say, that they didn't wanna do any more audits until we hired a CPA?
No, I thought they recommended.
they recommended that, yes. I don't know if they put that hard of a line on it, but our sense was that they, because of the transition from the old software to the new software and the journal entries required, that they said, these are really CPA types of things. You can do them and we're gonna recommend them. We can do the audit and finalize, or at least get a draft that has your entries. We just suggest that you have a CPA do those entries. So yeah, that's.
Then on the May activity report, it has a nice healthy bottom line. And my question is, have you, or are you gonna use some of that to clear the line of credit? I know we had to use that because it was delayed in getting.
Yeah, the line of credit was paid off.
Yeah, paid off, good. Thank you. Those are my two questions.
Anybody else got questions?
I move to accept the consent agenda with the minutes, being, approved as amended with the minor corrections.
I'll second
All in favor?
Okay, and I was looking for under 5,200, under interest expense other, a portion of that,
thank
is,
you.
is the cost of the line of credit.
I
Is
didn't.
the cost of what?
The line of credit.
Right. I noticed on the activity report, you only listed the interest and not the principal paid to the RCAC. So I'm wondering, if that made the activity report inaccurate, because you're $1,400 off.
Yeah, no, that gets reported on a quarterly basis on the balance sheet.
Just a quarterly basis,
Yeah,
okay. Not a problem.
Right, because that's a liability, the loan,
Right.
the principal pay on the loan. I know, I've been told by my accounting folks that you're supposed to account
That's
for
fine.
the interest expense and that you're buying down your liability.
Right. All right, good answer.
Okay, under old business, we have, just this, really not much to update as it relates to the Bureau. I do wanna mention that, there was, for the May water use, so the board knows we've worked at trying to get, as a refined number for our acre feet that come through our system, so that we get as much credit for M&I as we possibly can, knowing that we're in an unconstrained year, and that when we are in a drought, they will look back, and this will be one of the years that they'll use to average your M&I usage. You might notice on the May activity report that we sold about 150 acre feet, and so that didn't include the last week of May when it got very hot. So we had scheduled 150 acre feet, but we actually used 180 something in M&I. So that's actually a good thing. In other words, you're using more as it relates to that. The other thing that the Bureau has, you might recall that they put in their rate sheet that they included the Trinity Public Utility 15 cents per acre foot in the actual rate, right, the up rate, and we backed that out when we were doing our rate calculation, and yet their recap sheet still hasn't broken out, so we're in an email back and forth on that.
Oh, so they could theoretically be overcharging?
Well, that's what our question was, are you overcharging? No.
Again, yeah. Well, maybe them this time instead of the district.
Yeah. Otherwise, nothing else on that. All right, the next item is set for a time specific, 6:30 p.m. public hearing, and as I mentioned to the chair, we'll wait till 6:30 to actually throw the gavel down and open the public hearing and do the final budget. You've seen in the packet, looks like it might have gotten misplaced into the next item, but we did post this public hearing in the newspaper, and I know some districts actually call the public hearing for the time the meeting starts at 6 o'clock. I think that's kind of a misuse of the public noticing thing. I think you should call it for a specific time different than the actual time that your meeting starts. So that's why it's at 6:30, and though we don't have as much on the agenda, we do have item C. So,
Can we do that, move ahead,
yeah,
because we have 6-7 minutes?
we can do other items.
If it's okay with the chair,
Yeah, why not?
yeah, make use of the.
The next item is ordinance 2024-08. This is the annual tax appropriations limit ordinance. As you see, the county sends us a letter that has the CPI for the county, it has the changes, and then it has the next, we happen to be the first district on the list. Last year you adopted an ordinance for 701,919. We run it through their population change, and their other changes is 764,497. So that's what's in the ordinance. In other words, this is a pretty perfunctory item. Obviously, what would be great is if we actually got that much in property tax from it, which we don't get.
No, nowhere near.
So
I
that's
move
it.
to approve ordinance 2024-08 tax appropriation limit as presented in the packet.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous. We still have time. I'm gonna go right into the GM report if it's okay with the chair.
Yes.
All right. So, as you can see in the written report, we've had quite a few staff changes at the district. Just as a reminder, in April, our E3T3 Chad left for Bella Vista, D3 position there. He then, other D2 at the time, Will left for Bella Vista. About 2 weeks after that, we had Seth go to the city of Shasta Lake, and then our distribution supervisor abruptly left on May 2nd, and our admin assistant left, Shannon, May 14th. So we recruited, we've hired 3 new distribution folks. One of them has already passed their D1 certification. The others have scheduled. One slightly interrupted by the fact that his girlfriend's having a baby today.
Who's that?
Mason's.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, we didn't either until a couple weeks ago. What? You have a girlfriend? And but we expect them all to do well. The other thing we did is, as was reported, we entered into a contract with a company called Water Talent, and they have supplied, Tony Tomasi, who had retired from the city of Shasta Lake a year ago. He's a D4, T3, I think it is. A lot of experience as the utility director, and he has a specific task list: one, to train our new folks; two, to come up with work schedule; three was to come up with an on-call protocol, which, by the way, I'm happy to report is completed, and has had all of his subordinates sign it. So there's a whole element to that. So I think that's gonna be a big benefit. Also, update some of our safety stuff. There's some new OSHA requirements for, to put in your safety workplace violence prevention programs. So he's been doing that. Do an equipment review, as well as help with interviews for our new distribution supervisor. So that's been very successful.
And going through our equipment.
Yeah, I mentioned he's gonna review our equipment needs. But I think too, not only has he been doing all of that with his experience, but also, you know, instituting, and we got new people here, so just getting them used to being checking in and all the other kind of safety stuff that they need to do. The meter reading last month was a little long and challenging. This month it's looking like they've got a lot of the bumps smoothed out, so everybody's bills will be on time. So I have good news to report that next week we have a new administrative assistant starting. Her name is Amity Valdez, and previously was office manager for a construction company, so she got some experience working with office and field staff, and also most recently working for the City of Anderson's Police Department as an office manager, admin assistant, and she starts on Tuesday. And then I'm pleased to announce that on July 8th, we have a new distribution supervisor, and her name is Morgan Rao. She's a D3, T3, with previous experience at the Whiskeytown water and sewer system, as both their manager and treatment operator. Bill knows her, with working with her and interacting with her up there. She's been with the City of Anderson maybe 3 years, I think, now, and kind of rising up a little bit, but I think she's looking to be a distribution supervisor. She does have a Class A, maybe it's a Class B, driver's license. She also has her cross-connection backflow certification, which, based on the new rules and regulations that are coming down from the state, could be very helpful. She has a lot of experience in training people in this arena. So with new staff, she thought that was an exciting opportunity. So thrilled.
Yes.
All right, what are we at, 6:30?
Yep.
6:30.
All right, we're gonna take a break from that item. We're gonna go back. Item 6B, open the public hearing.
Public hearing is open.
All right, so, to the board, 6:30 p.m., the public hearing is open as it relates to the Clear Creek CSD FY 2024-2025 final budget adoption. As you can see in your packet, I don't wanna go through all of it, because I did all that on June 5th, but I just wanna remind the community and the board, I came up with a preliminary draft budget, presented that to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee reviewed that, provided some input, and recommended some modifications. We then took that to the board on June 5th as basically a workshop, but also to get input from the community and to get more review from the full board. The primary recommendations are to focus as many of the resources that we would have available this year, since we're not making our WINAC payments, on, the treatment plant, train 6, and putting any of those other resources in our discretionary reserves, so that what comes out of these, reports from our tank and treatment plant, we will have some resources to put into that, to actually implement that, hold off on some of our equipment upgrades until our distribution supervisors get a chance to do a good review and make some really good and valid recommendations to us. I also, the board had found a couple of little typos and mistakes, but I've updated that. We'll also updated, as instituted last year, this booklet. I happen to believe that the little 2.5-page spreadsheet that the district did in the past was a real disservice to the board and the community. It's really the board and the district's opportunity to communicate to its ratepayers what we're doing and who we are. So as you know, there's the budget booklet that has history and background. It doesn't obviously change much, but has our org chart, and it has just a description of all the different revenue elements and things and the expenses. I wanted to just mention again, even though I mentioned it at the workshop, that we've updated the WIN Act reserves so that it's more accurate for the repayments. It also has a description of all the other items within the expense side of the budget. Obviously went through all that last time. I know that most of my reports in the back I printed in black and white, so you may not be taking advantage of this, but this will be in color online. But it does give you, we do have our pie charts of our revenue and our expenses, and obviously most of our rest of the revenue comes from our customer accounts and water service, and then we get some taxes, and our expenses are primarily really in green, which is in distribution or admin, as well as our payroll, so obviously our people, but there's obviously expenses in the other elements as well. And then really want to highlight the board's commitment to what we did back in 2021 when instituted the current rate structure, which was putting 4.1% of the rates into reserves, putting 1.8% of the base rate into another reserve. So that is identified here, so we're sticking to that commitment. And then after that chart, I just have a little section about sort of some non-operating budget items, tell a little bit about the grants, like the first one, and update that one's done. And then also just items that the future, like the water plan, that was last done in 07, the capital improvement plan, and all the rest of that. And then there's the actual spreadsheet budget at the end of that. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would look for any comments from the board, any comments from the public, and then hopefully a final adoption.
Anybody got questions, comments?
Just one comment, at the last meeting, we brought up, we were wondering about that $7,000 versus the 163 that we had as carryover.
Right.
And I went back and checked my notes, it's part of that 163,
Yeah.
so, just to make that clear, because we were wondering, well, did we do something wrong?
Yeah.
We did not.
They also should note that was it the OPEB actuarial? You had in the budget, what was it, 100,000 as a potential, and I noticed that this year's came in at just, right about 11,000.
Well, that's 11,000. That was a monthly payment.
Or was that a monthly payment?
So yeah, the act. First of all, it's not OPEB. It was actually CalPERS.
That's right, it's.
Retirement
Right.
and actuarial. So, and I think when I described this on June 5th, I think I had maybe misstated it, but basically CalPERS looks at all the district's contributions and employee contributions as it relates to their retirement. Then they say, well, how's our return on our money? It's supposed to be 7.5% or whatever their book return is. And then they say, well, you know, are we funded at the rate if somebody retires and all the rest of that stuff? And that's where they came up last year with about $120,000 of unfunded liability, and we said, well, we'll pay it monthly. That's where that $11,000.
Right, okay.
So we are budgeted current, that was not budgeted last year. So that's what made the, line item 51440, which is our retirement contribution, the district's contribution, seem more. If you had been, remember, if you recall, in our third quarter, it was over budget. Well, that was
Yes.
because we didn't have a separate line item for the actuarial liability. We are still not sure, we do not get the, that actuarial liability letter until like, I think they sting it until July 1, and it doesn't come here until second week of July. So that's why so that, you know, depending on what happens there, we may have some more resources to add to it. Some more
Right.
other-
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anybody in the public? So you need a motion?
Close the public hearing,
Oh,
and then I need a motion to adopt the final.
public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to,
Yeah, I will move that we adopt the fiscal 24-25 budget as presented.
anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I will say too, it was mentioned on the 5th, probably should just re-mention it again, one of the things we committed to last year and we accomplished this year is every quarter we come up with, we present quarterly budget, the actuals, right? So there's all that, the balance sheet. So I think the district in the last year and a half has done a really good job of being more open and clear about it.
I have a question. You put it in, you put the public notice in the record searchlight, nobody reads that, is there someplace we can put it, or? Does anybody get it?
Oh, no.
The Intermountain News is a paper of record, believe it or not. Record searchlight's distribution by paper is around 5,000, it's comical. The Intermountain News is probably 3,500, 38, but it's a newspaper of record, at least it was 2 years ago. So you put it in Intermountain News.
But you can't even find the record searchlight in the grocery stores anymore, other than, I guess that one at Westwood Village has it, but.
That's because it's now printed in Chico.
To the chair, last year I asked our attorney that specific question, and he said Searchlight complies with the rules for public noticing. But I think it's valid to ask that question again.
Could we put it, if we're gonna have a public meeting, could we put it on the bulletin boards and, you know, all of that, you know?
KRCR posts a lot on mainly the Facebook side, but they cover a lot of different events that aren't necessarily news stories with video attached. A lot of the time it might be a photo with a brief description. Is that an option? Does that meet the requirement?
I'm gonna have to check, I don't know.
It just seems like if we had more, you know, tell people that we're doing the budget, we'd have people here complaining about it, what we're doing. You know?
Well, it's on the website.
It's on the, and Beverly puts it on Facebook, I mean, they have plenty of notice.
But I think the laws state that it needs to be published in a publication with general
Yeah.
circulation.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that, in the current world where most of us grew up reading printed newspapers and would always glance, well, some of us would look at the obits first, make sure we're not in there.
Yeah.
And then we go and look to see what's going on in the public notice side of things. And now, the record searchlight is still that paper of general circulation, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'll have to check to see if there's other ways. It is on our website, you know, it's on the banner that our next meeting is the 19th, but I think,
Was it in the newsletter that went out with the bills?
Oh, yeah.
So every customer who gets a bill, whether they read it or not is their choice.
I think what you're seeing, Terry, is just civic participation is
Yeah.
at like an all-time low over the last 60 years at this current point in time.
See, I just don't wanna have the same problem we had when we did the Prop 213
218.
or 218.
Yeah.
You know, where people show up in droves complaining because they don't know anything, you know, and why are we spending money on this and that when, you know, we could get them to show up?
I'm gonna say that you might wanna just pat yourself on the back, because the feedback here is you're doing such a good job over the last year and a half. People trust you and they're not coming to.
If that's what we thought back then.
Yeah.
We were ignorant then.
Yeah,
We know better now.
We do, but,
yeah, but as a public,
Well, this is on YouTube,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
this meeting.
Sandy?
There's a lot of different.
When we got involved with that RCAC, that really brought the curtain up. I mean, people realized that our district was in trouble. It was not being managed properly. There was too much mismanagement. It used to be, that old board meeting room was packed every board meeting. You know, sometimes people had to sit out where the secretaries were. And, a lot of times it was the same people that came over and over again. And, they were really more interested in the district than they are now. It's hard to get people to come to a meeting anymore. It's a whole different class of, people that are, not really wanting to be involved. They think that the district's rolling along pretty good and they're not gonna take the time to come to the meeting. Look at our Firewise. We gave free pizza, free salad, nice big dessert. We had 31 people and only 12 new people. In our next meeting, we're gonna have free drinks, by the way.
Well, to that point, Sandy, though, I never heard about it. I never got an email,
It was
long
in
email.
it was in the newsletter and it was on the reader board. It was.
I
I
missed
checked
it then.
after you told me that, and I checked and it was
Okay.
posted.
And I missed it.
We will see. I'll check.
Okay, it was just something that was on my mind.
Yeah, you know, I'm even thinking maybe next year, send a separate postcard to every customer. I don't know, I mean, there's gotta be a way to get more people, I mean, it's, maybe next year when we do the budget, we put a colored sheet of paper on our newsletter, only have that, just to say.
Yeah.
make it say public hearing notification,
Yeah.
and then that.
All right, so, we'll just jump back to my report, as, that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can finish up here. So back to the staff, so we got staff moving forward. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is that, when our admin assistant left, she showed me how to post the agendas and packets on our website. Because we were getting to the point where the only one that knew how to get access to the website was Bill, and he's making sure our water's well treated, and we don't want him to do it. So I've been able to update the website with our minutes, and because I found out that we hadn't put our minutes on the website since December of 2023, or January of this year. So it's up to date as of now. In doing that, I found out there was one meeting, I think our special meeting from April 2nd, hasn't been on your agenda for approval. So that's going to be on your next month's meeting, so that gets approved so we can put it on the website. There were a bunch of typos that I hadn't seen before. There's still, on one of the pages, still had our meetings on third Wednesday at 9 a.m. So obviously that had not been fixed for quite a few years. There was not on the bottom of the opening page our office hours, so I updated that so it works. Also had to have access to our recruitment page or employment opportunities, since we were filling positions. I needed to take those off of there. So if you take a look at it, and if you see something, shoot me an email. I've probably spent 8 or 9 hours trying to get it looking a little bit better and a little more updated. Also changed the color, so let me know what you think of the color. It was an option out there.
I'll go look at it.
It's nice to change every now and
Well,
then anyway.
I think it should change every 3 or 4 months maybe,
Yeah.
just so that it looks different.
Something to catch people's attention.
Catch people's attention. But in this, I've also found, you know, there's a few other things that still need to be updated. But, I found a spot where I think if I can not crash the website, I think if it's okay with the board, we should have a link somewhere on the front page in the bottom right that links to these videos. And at least so that people, if they want to read the minutes and then watch the video, or so they just want to watch the movie instead of read the book, you know, that's fine. If that's okay with the board, I don't know if there's been a policy or not.
Anybody got a problem with that?
No, not at all.
I mean, because there is some links to like Aqua JPIA, there's some links to other things. Why not to the Happy Valley Community Video YouTube?
Weekly meeting, a monthly meeting.
I don't know, she hasn't been posting it on Facebook though, so.
Well, I don't really want to go to the Facebook thing.
No, but that's where she had been, plus and where it takes you to YouTube.
Well, Caitlin just said that it's on YouTube, so I'll have to figure that out, but I think there was some good. The other thing too is, I was able to figure out how to put a link on the front page to the agenda, so you don't have to go through the whole down. But there's just some different things. Also was able to put the, news item of the farmer's market on the website. So a few things, on that, I would say are beneficial. The other couple things I would mention is that we're still waiting for the backwash ponds bridge financing package to get approved. We've got a note saying that it's going before their funding committee, and was this week, now it's gonna be next week. We are concerned about making sure we get a couple things. One of the things they wanna see is that the state is going to, you know, fund the full cost, because we've submitted the increased cost. They've given us a preliminary saying yes. Of course, they said, we're in a budget crisis, and so we're not gonna do it until after July. And then, the other thing is the contract's supposed to start July 8th week. So we're still waiting for Cal OES to say, yeah, that, you know, everything's fine, but they finally sent a note that should be moving forward. I've had on here a while that I applied for a wildfire and drought resiliency assessment. This was through the EPA to do it's $500,000 to do an engineering assessment of our fire hydrants, our reserves, our storage in case there was a fire. You know, you connected to a couple of hydrants, would we run out of water real quick, all those kind of things. So really to use it as a baseline to get more grant money. It's been sitting in their files for a long time. I just got a notice that said, we said we would tell you whether you got the money in the spring, but now it's not gonna be till the fall. Of course, they didn't send that email until the summer, so I mean, it's the federal government for you. In my report, I do have this CCR. You know, this is our thing that went out and everybody's. I think it was April. I'm trying to recall, but April, maybe it was. I don't know. But it went out in everybody's bill. It's just a state requirement that it goes out that. And Bill reminded me that it's it also should be in at least one of our packets. So before July. So that's why that's there. Everybody's already seen that already. With that, thank you for let me give you a little bit of a longer update, because I think there's a lot going on with our staff. We're excited to hopefully finally get staff out. It's gonna be a new bright day for the district.
One of the things I saw, and I called attention. I saw t-shirts, long sleeve, that are UV resistant. To see if that isn't something that we would want to get for our guys, and girls. Because it looks like it's gonna be hot here. But I would like to see them protected, if we could.
Yeah, so we have, there's a good website, we're also use that to look at some other places. We also, Tony I put that on our list for our new distribution supervisor as well.
And I think we just purchased quite a few shirts, didn't we?
Excuse me. But it does point out that one of the other things that's updating our IIPP, which is your illness and injury prevention program. I'll say that slowly. There's a lot of new rules coming out that have come out over the last few years that we haven't updated ours with on heat illness prevention. As you know, I did apply for a small grant to help buy some things, but I think we are gonna need to get an ice machine. We should revitalize, and that's part of Tony's job, is to see, we're supposed to provide every 30 minutes some manner of shade. So if we have a leak, we should have a pop-up tent so that guys can get in and out of that. I have a sneaking suspicion if we have any of those, they're probably old, and we need to make sure we've got that. Because starting tomorrow, it's supposed to be 100 plus for
A week, at least.
at least a week.
I have some pop-ups if you need them.
Yeah.
The basic ones sell for about $50, 10 by 10s.
Yeah, but this is just part of training your supervisors to keep track of those things, and when your tool breaks, you get in for another one, so you don't wait until you have none that work.
We've come a long ways.
Oh, a lot. I think so too. And real quick on the operations report, without Shannon, it took us a little while, but we were able to run the admin report on our accounts. You can see there's a drop off in our 60 to 90 day delinquent totals. Last month we had almost 300, now we got 192. There's about a 60 count drop off in the 90 plus days. And there's about a $30,000 drop off in the total amount of delinquencies, dollar amount. And now that we're gonna be, have an admin assistant, Caitlin, our account clerk, is planning. Last month we sent delinquency notices and shut off notices, even though we didn't have anybody available to shut anything up.
Right.
And it worked. People, they've done it in the past, we gotta pay. So they did, but this month, we actually have people to do that. The treatment plant, you can see, one of the things I just want to mention, item 2, which is the CAL FIRE inmate crew that cleared trees and removed a lot of material south of Horse Camp. If you haven't been out there, Horse Camp out on Page Bar Road, you would look south and you'll see quite a swath there. And there's a lot of it's for fire protection. Some of it actually is helping our access to our conduit. But I think back to the grant that Sandy mentioned, those crews are super efficient and they do a lot of good work when they're clearing brush. The other thing is that we did remove the last of the sludge on Pond 3. We basically made a decision to unfortunately transport it twice, bring it from there to here, and we have it drying in the back, because I did a quick assessment that they charge you for weight, and so getting the water content to almost 0 actually pays for another transportation. So it would have been very expensive to, take it straight to the dump, but we needed to get it out so that the other project could start. And
I have a comment.
through the chair,
Yep. Go ahead.
Years ago, Kimberly Clark had a place out on Deschutes Road where they could, dump on this person's property. They had some big pits that they had dug, and I think it was for free. Might look into that. It was, there's a dog boarding property right next to it, if I remember right. And, Kimberly Clark used it quite a bit for dumping sludge and mud and, you know, where the logs had to be unloaded and there was always a big mess. They used it for some kind of fertilizer.
Well, we could check into that. I would only just say that, the state rules on,
Yes.
on testing the materials and where it's located.
Yeah, I'm sure Kimberly Clark didn't test anything.
No.
It was a dump site.
Yeah.
All right, and, any other questions or comment on the operations report? The committee report, we had a agricultural committee on, May 29th. We have one of our community committee members here, Mr. Horton. We also, at that was when, the ag committee with their volunteers, have, coordinated to do this, to help with this Happy Valley Farmers Market. And we expect that, there'll be more volunteers, hopefully, once they get going. So anything else from the ag committee?
I appreciate the flyer that was sent out. I've received probably 20 phone calls. I'm expecting 8 to 10 vendors there this Saturday morning. Others who will come in later in the year when they have things available. Things are moving along nicely. The porta potty was delivered today. I'm pretty much ready to go.
So, the only other, and I would just mention a couple of members in the agricultural committee has recommended that we have our next meeting be focused on one of our ag products, which is olives. So currently I have not heard back from Dennis, but his assignment, Dennis Bosan, was to get a hold of a few of our olive growers to confirm that they could be there on July 24th. But currently that's our planned meeting.
Correct.
Already have reported on the finance committee meeting of May 22nd. That did happen since our last regular board meeting, and they reported to the June 5th special meeting. But I do want to just mention that we have activated what the board decided on our recommendation to go to Flumus Bank. So some of us have some cramped hands from all the stuff we signed, but we signed everything, and it's moving forward. The plan is to have it all transferred on June 28th so that it's ready on July 1st.
Yep.
And we got a pretty big payables run this last week, and we're gonna probably delay payables for the 20th to only those that are electronic, so that we don't have any checks hanging out there and then we bounce them because we take money and close the account. And then, I do want to, talk to, the chair. I'll send you an email. I'm thinking planning and steering. It'd be nice to have a little small group meeting in July or early August to talk about the water plant update and some of the elements in there that would be an improvement plan. Otherwise,
I have a quick question. When we worked on the budget and talked about the budget last meeting, the first thing that had to be done for training six was talk to Pace to do the report. Is that in the works, or that's gonna be, when I asked you that, Paul, I know that you have been overloaded with your work and the secretary's work. So I don't mean to push you, I just am inquiring.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't clear in my report about us getting fully staffed, my joy of seeing new staff come to reduce my workload a little bit. But yes, I've talked to Pace, I talked to them right after, on the 6th, right after our last meeting, and it looks like this is gonna happen. So I need I need a contract in the 1st of July when the budget goes, and so we can, because I told them, you know, our desire is for those 2 particular items, we want you to do them within 60 to 90 days so that we can allocate the funds to do the work.
And then a follow-up, because we're coming up to the end of our fiscal year. What do you anticipate, about 30 days later, that we'll do the year-end review of the finances?
Actually, I'm targeting the July, meeting. So I don't know if we'll make it then, but.
Well, yeah.
So, it probably would not be able to get it to the finance committee prior to taking it to the board if we do it then. So we may not have it until maybe a finance committee meeting the last week or 2 of July, and then bring it to the board in August. But we'll see. We're bookkeepers trying to get our accounts all moved over to another bank and all those other things. So I think we'll get there.
Anybody else got questions?
Just one, I happened to see one of our vehicles that had some damage to it, and I know I asked Paul about it, but what I didn't fail to ask you about, did they fill out an accident report? Did they report that? So don't we have an accident,
Yeah,
policy?
there's a form, and, I neglected to find it out, so.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that they're following through, and that they're notifying who they need to notify.
Yeah.
Cause I think it's in there that we hash that over how soon, as soon as possible, that they're doing that.
Right.
Anybody from the public have any last comments?
Any items from the board?
Is Axner still reviewing those 2 pavement issues?
I think the one on Palm is getting worse.
I know.
We hear the trailers all the time.
Yeah, the only thing that makes that one worse than Olive and Melinda is that the speed of people driving on Palm, because Olive and Melinda, you have to slow down and turn.
It's perfect, you have to slow down and turn wide, so you're not, to avoid it, so you're not cutting the corner.
We're having a traffic improvement project.
Yeah.
Palm is a.
I'd like speed bumps put on Pine Street if we're
Oh.
doing it. Is that it? Adjourned.
7:04, meeting adjourned.
I actually went online to read
Turn that, that one else.
Yep.
a special one
Well done, Gene.
Maximum efficiency.
I have 2
What
hours.
happens
So,
Like on the,
Yeah.
on the budget, it's a little 12-inch chainsaw. And I like to see it. Right.
Yeah.
Shannon did it a while ago, and then I got caught up in it.
It's for the big one.
Yeah,
Robert, you were gonna bring that
I
to
did
me?
notice that I was tired.
Is it done?
One is commercially
I was
made, not
busy
picking up
yesterday,
today.
2 ways off.
That one's commercially made,
So I didn't try to do that.
2 feet by 4 feet, we're gonna have 2 feet by 4 feet. I'll catch that to under tomorrow. This one is the other one that I created. I just give you a letter.
So,
Well, that was irritating.
Normally just goes over the
The
top.
other
And
thing
there's
is,
no error leaving
I'm just.
down
Yeah,
the street.
we have that figured out.
Yeah.
Wait, are we gonna have
I would
to?
say,
I was at the corner of City Valley and home.
Grass and then the rest.
half
So
of
people driving down there.
Right.
What's to say?
One bummer about it, if you have anything in your profile.
I didn't have to do actual, receipt,
Or
you
police
guys got
job,
it.
and you just file it. Marketing.
Where did you put it, in your backyard? Oh, right outside the door.
It's, I didn't go for it, just like you did.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean.
This one.
We'll deal with it.
But I don't think I sent them all.
After the last 4 or 5, I.
Yeah, it was.
I always ask for something.
Right.
Yeah.
The latest.
If I had nobody.
Because my life, well, when you
Become up there, I got one
Because I made, two
And
sons
then,
parking.
She probably went back to sleep. How do you stop this?